Now, ARFID is um, Avoidance Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. That's the acronym ARFID. So basically, what it is they have anxiety around food and textures of food, tastes of food, smells of food. Hi, welcome. Um, Today, I'd like to speak about diabetes, ARFID, and also a kind of low level um, anxiety, but I think really probably autistic spectrum is what we're talking about. This is all suffered by my daughter. She goes through this every day. And when I woke up this morning, I was so frustrated, and I thought, uh, I just want to, explain how I feel, but also how maybe even some other people are feeling out there, that I can sort of connect with or help to understand just what my daughter goes through on a day-to-day basis, because I personally don't have any of these things. And in 2009, my daughter was diagnosed with diabetes type 1, and she was waking up on a couple of consecutive nights, you know, going 2 or 3 times a night to the toilet, which is just kind of out of character for her, and probably not fairly normal for a lot of people, especially for a young child as well. And so I I spoke with my wife, and we said we'd take her to the doctor. So the following day, we took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, okay." So immediately done a test for blood glucose, and it showed high HI, which is the red flag for type 1 diabetes. Anyway, he then said, "I think she might have to go to the hospital." And so I said to him, "So when would you?" He said, "Right now. You need to go right now." Which we did. So we took her down to the hospital, and then we spent 2 to 3 days, maybe even 4 days, with her in the hospital, and they were trying to get her levels right. And this whole new change in our life happened with our daughter, who was 8 at the time, to start learning to live with diabetes. And it was really, really tough. And you had to learn how to do the injections. You're still a bit young then to be independently doing them. The insulin levels, and how to test her bloods, how to use carbohydrates. If you've got diabetes, you'll know everything about this, and I'm talking to the converted anyway. Anyway, moving along a little bit, we noticed that she was not eating properly. And this was a concern for us, because obviously with her being diabetic, it's really important that she has her carbohydrates, and she has a good, well-balanced diet to obviously offset, well, not to offset really, but to help her manage the diabetes well. Because obviously she has to do regular blood checks. She has to, through the day, be constantly checking her bloods to make sure that they're in the optimum levels that a normal pancreas would just manage to do. But she wasn't eating well, and we thought, well, have we just got a fussy child? Is she just, what's going on here? But as things got worse with that, we decided that we would. I came across a forum actually on Facebook called ARFID, and I started reading it, and I thought, my gosh, this explains my daughter. Now, ARFID is Avoidance Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. That's the acronym ARFID. So basically, what it is they have anxiety around food and textures of food, tastes of food, smells of food, etc., etc. And so it's a really complex condition, and they tend to have what's called safe foods, and that is where they have certain types of foods that are safe to them, and they'll generally be packeted foods. So it could even be something as plain as something as simple as crisps or biscuits, or things you don't really want your child to be certainly eating on a regular basis, but things that nevertheless they will latch onto because they're packaged and they're dry. Another thing they don't tend to like is wet food. Like a plate of food, it could have, I don't know, let's just say um, fish, chips, and beans, but the beans would have to not be in contact with the fish and the chips, because if they was all joined together, she wouldn't eat it, because the foods become, sort of blended into one, really. which is one of the things that she doesn't like. One of the things that typical people with ARFID don't like. So then she started secondary school. This is now going back to, she's in year 9 now, so 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, she started secondary school. We then started to see that all these complex things that she's got became, because very often a teenager doesn't want to display things of difference. So she doesn't want to display her diabetes. So of course at school, you don't want to look out of place. You don't want to look different. So we started to find that her blood levels were not that good. And we could tell that actually she was probably not doing her injections and just eating, which is a bad thing to do, you know. And she had to have some counselling over that and various things like that. Then also on top of it, you've got this ARFID, avoidance food intake disorder, that compounds her then as well, because she perhaps doesn't want to have anything from the canteen. So she would take snacks from home. Sometimes she would have them, sometimes she wouldn't. And that's the way it's been and up until now, really. So the next chapter in her life is that she's now become very, very, very restrictive on going out. So meeting with friends. She's now 14. Meeting with other children of her own age, mixing in those circles. It's school, home, weekends, stay home, really. And when we have to go out places and she has to come along with us, she doesn't want to, you know. She wants to, but when she gets there, she has a panic attack because she's now in a crowded place. So what I'm trying to say is all of these things together seem to have impacted her life to such a degree where she has real social anxiety and all this kind of thing. She hates the fact she hates the fact that she's got diabetes. She hates the fact that she's got this ARFID and all of this kind of thing, and it's just affected her in a social way. But we've also noticed some very autistic kind of tendencies with the way she deals with a lot of things. So it's been a difficult road, really, and really, really difficult. And sometimes you just, as a parent, you just don't know what to do. I know when I was growing up, you couldn't have like not eating food and stuff. It just was unheard of in my day, because the food would come back out again in the evening if you didn't eat your lunch. You know, that was the kind of upbringing that a lot of people had in the 80s and stuff like that. There wasn't such a thing as being fussy, if you like. And of course, this is not being fussy. This runs a lot deeper. Excuse me. So, yeah, it's just been a really difficult road. And you couldn't imagine a worse thing than to have diabetes combined with this eating disorder on top, because the two are so totally against one another, in that on the one side, she has to eat and she has to do her injections and she has to check her blood levels and all that kind of thing just to stay healthy. And on the other side, she doesn't want to eat. And in her own mind, she can't eat certain foods, or she can't eat in certain places even. So it's been a terrible road. It's been really difficult for us as parents. And just lately, we've just been getting, as she's now getting 14 into the heart of teenager years now, coming up into, within 18 months, she'll be doing her exams at school and stuff like that. So I just wanted to offload, really, and just say how I feel. I mean, okay, you guys out there, you don't know me from Adam, but if you've got any advice you can give me, I'd more than appreciate it. If you've been going through something similar yourself, maybe if you don't have that combination of conditions, even if it's just something along them lines that you can share with me as a parent, I'd be really appreciative as to that. And so please put comments below if you have diabetes, or if you yourself have an eating disorder, and how do you cope with it, or how do you talk about it, or if you have social anxiety, how do you deal with it? And because as a parent, you feel so isolated and you feel so apart from her, because when you speak to her, she'll just say, "No, everything's fine," and she'll come across as if everything is fine, but it clearly isn't. And so I know what some people might say to me now. So what are you doing about it, Sean? Are you actually getting any help? This and that. Well, of course, in the UK here, we have tremendous waiting lists for mental health, for people with mental health illnesses since the pandemic and lack of funding and things like this. We've got real big long waiting lists, and she's on that waiting list. And so we don't know when she's going to be seen. But I do wake up every day and think, will my daughter end up going into hospital because she's not eating properly and she has diabetes? How's this all going to work out? And I just fear every day, really, to be honest, at the moment, because it's so tough and it's so difficult to know what to do. That we've tried buying all the kind of different types of foods. Just stocking the cupboards up, kind of thing, with just all kind of different things. Or taking her with you. You go to do the shopping, so she chooses everything, and that'll work for a while, but she'll soon, because she can also change on what she eats as well. She'll just say, "Oh, I don't eat that anymore. I don't like it. I've gone off that now," and that kind of thing. And it's something she's been eating for the previous 3 weeks. In plentiful supplies, like it, if you like. So you think, "Oh, that I can buy some of that because I know she'll eat it," but you can't guarantee that. So even to take her shopping doesn't work. To buy her favourite stuff works for a bit, but then she goes off that and onto something else, and everything's got to be packaged in the right way, and it's just so difficult and expensive, by the way. If you put it that way as well. So all these factors have been coming into play and make a really difficult time for us as parents. Myself and my wife, we just really are worried, and but this is the life that we're in at the moment, and we just got to try and get through it as best we can. And you know, I just I do have a faith, so I pray every day that that God will help her, really, because at the end of the day, I hate to see her like this, really, and I just don't understand how she must be feeling, And if anyone in the comments can write how they kind of think she might be feeling because they're going through something similar themselves, that'd be really helpful. So it's just a video about that. I have no idea who will see this video, because at the end of the day, it's on my own personal channel, and I've only got a couple of subscribers, really, because I don't really put very much on here. I didn't want to put it on any of my other channels because it just doesn't fit in with what those channels are about. So it'd be a bit silly, really. This is just my own channel, and I just hope that some people, it gets a bit of traction, and some people can see it, and I just hope it even helps them. It helps a parent out there who's also going through. I'd love to hear from parents, if you're going through the same thing as I am and my wife are, that you yourself might actually have some advice you can give, and maybe how you deal with some strategies over it, or you know sometimes you've got to ask for help, and when you don't feel you're getting it from your own, in our case here in the UK, National Health, when you don't feel like you're really being heard, and when you highlight these things, it's just, oh, everything will be okay, kind of thing. And you as a parent, seeing the way, like in my case, my daughter is every day, that's just really tough to live with. So it's really been hard. It's really been tough. And as I say, I just don't know really what to do. So please put some comments down below if you've been going through something yourself, if you have a daughter or a son that's going through it, if you're someone who's actually come out of your teenage years and into young adulthood that's suffering with, in particular, ARFID or diabetes, or social anxiety, please let me know as well. And it'd be lovely to hear from you all, and maybe even encouraging. I don't know, but just it's very hard. YouTube is about community. I feel YouTube is about communication and learning and understanding. And maybe there's even some people out there who've never even heard of, say, ARFID as example. They probably would have heard of social anxiety and diabetes, but maybe not ARFID, which is a little bit rarer, of course. It's in a spectrum of eating disorders. that are very serious. I mean, if you imagine you're not getting the vitamins you need, you're not getting the balanced diet that you need, and that for many, many years. So you tend to be underweight, you tend to get tired easy, irritable easy, which she does. And she's trying to fit in being a teenager at the same time. So that's a really tough mix. But I don't want to go on too much. I just felt I wanted to just get this off my chest, just get it out there, and just hopefully someone will see it. Hopefully someone will come across this video. And yeah, it's been hard. It's been really difficult. But at the same time, I feel it's a video I've needed to do, just even for my own self. Even if I'm talking to myself right now and I don't speak to anybody, and this doesn't get seen by anyone, who cares? I'll know that at least I've vented myself, if you like. So that's the thing. But anyway, I'm going to sign out now. But please do comment if you've got anything views upon all of this. So yeah, take care. Cheerio.